Hello, I'm Kate.
And I'm Deborah.
And this is the Personal Finance Awards 2024.
Welcome back. We have now reached day 2 of the Personal Finance Awards 2024.
Thank you for joining us for the celebration of the best businesses in the consumer money world.
Yesterday, we announced the best insurers and mortgage companies, and today we're revealing which companies the public has voted as the best for loans, credit cards and retirement.
If you have been crowned a winner or highly commended, why not join the celebrations by posting your pictures on social media and use the hashtag Personal Finance Awards.
We would love to find out how you are celebrating, so please do join the party.
We will be revealing all the winners very soon. Plus, we have a mortgage broker, Sarah Tinkler, who is going to be explaining how you can get your credit report in shape to ensure it's in the tip-top condition required to take out the best credit cards and loans.
But first, we need to give a big shout out to the readers of the Money Pages, who are the real stars behind the Personal Finance Awards.
Yes, you have been nominating and voting for the best part of a year to help us find the best personal finance businesses. These awards wouldn't exist without you.
Receiving a Personal Finance Award is an affirmation from your customers, the people who really matter. So each and every finalist, highly commended and winner announced today has been given the seal of approval by the public.
That's why previous year's winners and highly commended have told us they are so thrilled to have the Personal Finance Award in their trophy cabinet.
But before we announce the first set of the awards in this section, we'd like to introduce you to Sarah Tinkler of Oak Mortgages.
Sarah is an award-winning mortgage broker and specialises in helping people with adverse credit and other challenges to take out mortgages.
So who better to provide us with an insight in how to boost our credit report? Hi, Sarah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it. We wanted to sort of find out a bit more about credit reports, which is one of the sections in our awards today. What is a credit report?
So a credit report is an individual 3-digit number that basically represents how likely you are to repay your credit, or so what sort of risk element you are to a lender. That's how they will assess whether you are likely to pay back your debts or not pay back your debts.
Ah, right. So who would that be assessed by then? Would that be like your mortgage lender or your...
Whoever you're applying to credit for, absolutely, they would look at it, and basically your credit report will give a digital image or view of what you've had previously. So any debts you've had previously, any credits you've had previously, household bills, those are all taken into consideration, whether you pay them on time, things like that. And that creates then a score that, you know, the lenders will utilise, or any providers that you're going to will utilise.
So the bigger the score, the better, or the higher the score, the better then?
Yes, yeah.
What's the top score that someone could get?
It depends on the different providers that you use, because there are a couple of different places that you can go to for credit reports. So they have slightly different scoring, but usually 999 is your sort of average one.
Okay.
So why do we need a credit report?
So it does enable us to have access to potentially better rates with providers, better products, maybe higher loan to values, things like that.
So I'm quite interested now, you've said all this, to actually get my credit report. How would I do that?
So you can access it in a couple of different ways. You can approach Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, or we tend to recommend Check My File, because it does cover the 3 main credit reference agencies that lenders can utilise to look at and assess your credit.
Yeah, I think some of those names are actually going to be in our list of nominees coming up. So it sounds like a good time to go over and find out our first set of awards.
Hello, on day 2 of the Personal Finance Awards 2024. We've got all your winners and highly commended coming up.
But let's start with Best Credit Report Provider. Names in the frame for this category are here. Highly commended are Credit Karma and Experian, but the winner is ClearScore.
Next up, we have the Best Personal Loans Broker. Here is the shortlist. Highly commended are Fluent Money and Loans Warehouse. But the winner in this section is loan.co.uk.
Our next category is Best Personal Loans Lender. Here are the finalists. Highly commended are Nationwide and Ocean Finance. But the winner, it's Novuna Personal Finance.
Well done. We'll have more winners shortly, but first it's back to the studio.
So how can we build a good credit report?
A couple of different ways really. Make sure you're obviously paying bills on time. If you've got credit cards, trying to clear them every month, not utilising the maximum limits on them, and basically just generally keeping your credit, good. If you've got bills coming through, making sure you're paying them, make sure that you're not late with or having missed payments. If they are, trying to pay them in the same month, not allowing them to go months on end without paying them as well.
Right.
And there are a few sort of myths, I think, aren't there, surrounding credit reports? Things that, you're sort of coming up with some tips here on, how to build. But I've heard that like living with somebody with bad credit can impact your report, or maybe making too many applications for credit. Are these true? Should we be, careful?
Yeah, you do have to be a little bit mindful. If you have got somebody that you live with that has bad credit, if you open bank accounts with them, joint accounts, if you apply for mortgages jointly with them, it can have an effect. You're a financial association then, so it does have an effect on your credit file as well. In terms of if you are looking to make sure you keep those separate, just to make sure you're not opening joint bank accounts, maybe not trying to do joint household bills, things like that, and it can keep it slightly separate even though you do live together. But yeah, as soon as you become a financial associate, it will have a knock-on effect.
Yeah, actually something we were talking about yesterday, if you live with somebody like a flatmate or somebody who's got bad credit, would that affect yours because of the address, or would you be completely independent now?
Not necessarily, because you are still an independent. You're not financially linked to that person if you just share the same address, because there's lots of people that house share and things like that these days, isn't there?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, no, not necessarily. It depends on the type of association you've got with the property.
So say, for example, I was a first-time buyer and I was like hoping to build up my credit report to improve it. How long could that take if I followed all of your advice?
It really depends on your individual situations. If you're a first-time buyer and had no credit at all, it could potentially take a couple of months. But if you've had credit in the past where you've got credit issues, it could obviously take you a little bit longer to rectify that. So anything from a month to a few years, really, depending on your circumstances.
Yeah, and how long does it take for a blight to be wiped off your credit report? It's a few years, isn't it?
6 years, yeah. So if you've had something negative impact like a CCJ or a default, they remain on your credit file for 6 years. Yeah.
It's worth knowing that. And I think we're about to find out who our next set of award winners are. Let's go over.
Thank you, Kate and Deborah. We have some more winners for you, and our next category is Best Credit Card Provider.
Let's look at who's on the shortlist for this award. Highly commended are Santander and Tesco Bank, but the winner of Best Credit Card Provider is Barclaycard.
Now, on to the next awards. It's Best Funeral Plan Provider. The finalists are on screen. Highly commended are Avalon Funeral Plans and Co-op Funeral Care. But the winner picking up their first ever Personal Finance Award is Pure Cremation.
Now we have Best Equity Release Advisor Customer Service. Let's take a look at the shortlist. Highly commended are Age Partnership and Just Mortgages, but the winner is Equity Release Supermarket.
We have more Equity Release Awards coming up. But first, it's back to Kate and Deborah in the studio.
Now, I know you help people with adverse credit and mortgage, don't you? And you help people who find it challenging. What difficulties are people facing at the moment? I suppose it's quite a few. There's been ups and downs in the mortgage market and everything. But what are you finding your clients are facing?
So generally with adverse credit, people tend to suffer with loan to values that they can access, because if you have got adverse credit, lots of lenders will restrict what you can borrow. So you might not necessarily be able to get a 95% mortgage. You'd be maybe looking at an 85 or a 70%, depending on how severe the adverse credit was. So loan to value is definitely one, which in turn means that they might need a higher deposit. So that can come into factors. And unfortunately, you do pay slightly higher interest rates depending on the lenders that you can access. So that has a knock-on effect with affordability sometimes. So what you can actually borrow as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's just kind of making sure you've got the savings in place then in that case to increase your deposit really and have that.
Yeah, again, individual circumstances. So, for instance, if you can only access a 70% loan to value, you're going to need a 30% deposit. But if you took something like a shared ownership property, for instance, and you only pay a deposit on the share that you purchase. So, if you're buying a full house price, property, the 30% is going to be a lot more than a share value at 30%. So it really does depend on the individual circumstances as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's been so helpful. Thank you, Sarah. You're going to be joining us later for our savings section, but we're now going to go over and find out our final set of award winners in this section.
Thank you. Right, let's find out who our next winner is.
The category in question is Best Equity Release Lender Customer Service, and our finalists are on screen. Highly commended are Royal London Equity Release and Standard Life Home Finance. But who's the winner?
It's Aviva.
Now we come to the award for Best Equity Release Advisor. The names in the frame can be seen right here. Highly commended are 55 Plus and Equity Release Supermarket. But our winner? It's Age Partnership.
It's now the final award in this section, and it's for the Best Equity Release Lender. Who's made it to the shortlist? Highly commended are Canada Life and Pure Retirement. But the winner is a name we have already heard twice in this year's Personal Finance Awards. With 3 wins now under their belts, they are the award's most prolific winners. It's Aviva.
Well done, Aviva. And on that note, it's time to wrap up this section. So it's back to Deborah and Kate.
A huge congratulations to everyone who picked up an award in this category.
Well done to you all, and a big thank you to our readers who nominated and voted in this year's awards.
Also, we'd like to thank Sarah for her wonderful advice. I've certainly picked up some great tips today.
We will see you at 3 p.m. for the 4th and final section of this year's Personal Finance Awards. We'll be announcing the winners in the Savings, Banking and Investment section.
Plus, we will reveal who is the overall winner and find out which reader of the Money Pages has won a £200 Amazon voucher.
Don't miss it. We'll see you soon.